in Quebec, it basically, there's also common law marriage, which is something I don't think is very common in the state, but if you live together, are conjugally together, we are going to determine your spouses. They also have...
Or if you have a ceremony, it's like, the men say, we don't want to sign up, and they're like, we're going to make you sign up.
Exactly.
This isn't true. In fact, Quebec is one of the only places in Canada that does not have common law marriage, and this was decided on constitutional grounds by the Supreme Court in 2013. The groundbreaking case made it all the way to the Supreme Court after a Quebec billionaire broke up with his long-term girlfriend of 7 years and the mother of his 3 children. The billionaire, dubbed Eric by the media because family law cases are anonymous in Quebec, even though, side note, there's not that many billionaires in Quebec, so we all knew who it was, had met his girlfriend, dubbed Lola, when she was 17 and he was 32. She was living in another country when they met, but a couple of years later, they moved in together in Quebec. Lived together for 7 years, had 3 children, and then split. Because they were never married, Lola wasn't eligible for the division of family property that would have been available to a divorced spouse. Now, it's worth noting, she didn't sue Eric. She actually sued the Quebec government, claiming that its laws about division of family property only being available to married spouses was discriminatory. The court's final decision was that the law is not discriminatory because if Lola had wanted all of the protections of a married spouse, that was available to her. She just had to get married. Now, just because Quebec doesn't recognize common law marriage, that doesn't mean Quebec doesn't recognize certain forms of informal relationships as having legal effects. For example, 2 people living together after a certain period of time can become considered de facto spouses. De facto spouses are given all the same external protections as married spouses when it comes to things like medical consent or the right to continue living in a house after one of their spouses dies. But they have no internal obligations with respect to one another, so there's no division of their property if they split up, for example. And just last week, Quebec created a new kind of legal relationship for couples called the parental regime. This happens by default when a couple has their first child, but is optional. Couples who don't want it can opt out. That legal relationship does provide for some internal division of assets, but less than a full marriage.